Michael, what we're missing is Earth, and that's why we're so not grounded in our conversations. We just are so.
We have no one to pull us back and be like, "Hello, the topic."
All right, Lauren, get us started.
Here we go. So, welcome back, everybody. This is Team Spirit with your host, Lauren,
Carrie,
and Emily.
And this week we are talking about past lives. Well, we're kind of probably going to do a little series on this because there's just so much to talk about. But before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to Carrie and Emily. Carrie and Emily graduated they have been taking classes for a whole year, learning mysticism, psychism, all sorts of things from their incredible mentor, Carrie. We'll tag her. Just seeing you guys. I mean, I've seen you guys when you started your lives and taking her classes, and the progressions that you guys have learned from this was just incredible. And it was so special that you guys shared your graduation with me. I mean, I was just over the moon to see you guys. And one of the big parts of your class was the Akashic Records. And so I thought it'd be really cool if you guys talked about that experience, because that's something Carrie and I, we've both had past live readings done by someone like in person. Emily, did you end up going to her?
Not yet.
But I don't have experience through like a personal guided lessons. I've done like a guided meditation, but I know they are so different. So I thought it'd be really helpful if you guys kind of dove into that and talked about what you learned.
Yeah. Do you want to start, Em?
Yes. Basically, in order to tap into someone's past life, or whether you're doing it for yourself, because you can also tap into your own, you meditate and go to this place called the Akashic Records. And that is a place where every record of every life, every soul, well, it's every life that your soul has encountered, past, present, and future, really. I feel like the sky's the limit in the Akashic Records. You can go there for past lives, you can go there for healings, you can go there for guidance, you can meet your guides there. I mean, it is like the hub, the spiritual hub, pretty much, but
of knowledge and information.
You can meet people that you travel lives with. Which that was something I didn't know about until, and that part, I cannot wait till we talk about that part because it blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, you can meet your higher self there. It's just endless.
You can meet your future self there.
So you go to the Akashic Records, and that is where you access either your past life or someone else's past life. And sometimes you can go in there with an intention, like this person wants to figure out, why am I so scared of medical doctors? Or why am I suffering with poor body image? And to see where that lands in other lives. Or, some people just want a past life reading because they just want to know, like, what did I do in a past life and what lessons can I learn? It's completely personal to the person. So I'll kind of briefly talk about like how you get in there, because there is like a little ritual prayer thing that you do just to ask for permission from spirit to access this person's records. And you promise to do it for the highest good and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of starts coming to you, like it just
like
places,
dream vomit.
Yes, places, dates, time periods, names, genders, jobs. I mean, you name it, just starts coming to you. And it's like, there's no way that I'm making this up, because I haven't ever thought about this country before, or I don't think about, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think about this time period. Like 1756 comes up. It's like, why would, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you'll pick up on political occurrences that you can then validate after, and we're no history.
Hell no. I mean, we were in history together. We screwed off the whole time.
Geography couldn't tell you a damn thing.
Nope.
And it is cool because a lot of like times you experience in past lives, like you are not even the same like sex you are now.
Correct.
Or gender you are now. And that's one thing, like when I did it in a past life, I was a man, and I have never in this lifetime felt any connection to being a male gender. And so that it's one of those things, like in our life and feeling now, you don't feel those things. And so when they come up, it's like, how can I question this when I know for like in myself that that felt so real, but it's not something I identify with this term at all. And the same thing happened. I was getting dates and these things, and like I could vividly see these things, and I go home and I do the research, and it all aligns, all of it.
Yep.
The things that I was wearing, how things looked, the things that were happening at that time, it was insane, absolutely insane.
And I mean, it's cool having to have had the experience of a past life regression and then having the experience of doing past life readings, because the way that the information comes through is exactly the same. Yes, you're in a state of hypnosis, but you go to the spirit world, you go to like the in-between, you go to the records when you're doing these readings. I mean, they may not call it that, like when you're in the regression state, but that's where you access all that information.
So you mean like when you're doing it on someone else, you also are doing the same like guidance with them? Is that what you mean? Or
what I'm saying is like the way that you get the information when you were in hypnosis and you received the information for yourself is the exact same way that we receive the information for somebody else.
Yes.
I see. That is so interesting. Okay. Yes. That's really cool.
And you're skipping the hypnosis. You don't have to be in hypnosis to access what you're looking for.
Right.
Now, when I go to the records, I feel like I'm somewhere else. I'm definitely not here on this planet.
Yeah, like there's definitely a level of trance.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
But it's the possibilities in the records are endless. And I think it's important to say too, for your own personal use, anybody can access these records. There's amazing resources out there. There's a couple books that I listened to on audio book just, before I even like learned about it, just so I had like a baseline. But there's different meditations that you can do and different resources that you can read. You can take yourself there. But, like anything, the biggest block is you're not trusting what you're getting. And you always have to trust what you're getting. No, you're not crazy. And it just goes back to like, even before we started our training of what we thought it was going to be versus what it actually is. And it's like, we expect it to play out like a movie, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it comes through as symbols or a knowing or, a feeling. Exactly. So, and everybody's going to be different. For me, I'm very, very clairvoyant. That's my strongest clair. So a lot of time for me, it is the visuals, but you don't have to have the visuals to be able to get the information.
Right.
So you just have to trust yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, here we go. We're about to go on a little side note here, but did you guys know that not everybody sees like visual things when they're like
seeing you told me that.
As she was saying that, I was thinking about that.
So
yeah, you guys told me that.
So I was just talking about this with someone this morning, which is crazy to me. But so it goes for, they kind of see an outline of what they know they're familiar with of that item. Like it's literally like a drawn outline. And they say,
for the people listening, start from the beginning, explain like.
Oh, yes. Okay. So science has not even discovered, they just, I guess, started talking about it, that not everybody has an inner monologue. You don't hear yourself think in your head, and not everybody has like descriptive visual images. And so what I'm understanding, what I've seen from people who don't have inner monologues, is it's almost like they see it's writing, like it's written for them.
I know.
Not voices, right? And
so they're reading their thoughts?
Kind of, yeah. Like it's just written out is how I've seen, because I then had to look this up and go, I needed to know more. And people who explained it, they were like, yeah, I don't hear anything. It's almost like
what's more common? Like I feel like that's not common.
I feel like that's not common, but here's the thing. I found this out this morning. Apparently they simplify it down to the point of it's almost like being left or right brained. I don't know how it can be that simple, how it possibly is that simple, but apparently that's just how they explain the difference of whether you do or don't. It is just like if you're left left or right brain.
So this is a dumb question, but like if we can hear our thoughts, because that's what I do, I hear my thoughts.
Yeah,
Doesn't
me
that
too.
mean that we're clairaudient?
It's probably not that they're not. They just are in a different way. Like it's probably like processing people who maybe don't read as well as they hear. And so some people like listen to audiobooks because they can listen through and absorb it all. I can't listen to audiobooks because they say a word and all of a sudden I'm thinking about something and I got to backtrack 10 minutes because I've been in La La Land.
And then
thinking of
me, I
something
can't
else.
read a book to save my life because I'll read the same page 20 times and not absorb anything.
Right. And I think that's where it's just absorbed differently. I'm sure that they still have the same ability.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
different.
My question was like, if you can hear your thoughts, isn't clairaudience the same thing except you're hearing spirit?
Yeah.
But it's in your mind's eye that you're hearing your thoughts, right? So it's along the same lines, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be so interesting to hear from someone who does reads, who doesn't have an inner monologue or see the descriptive visualizations. I feel like that'd be really difficult to really decipher what are my thoughts and what is a download.
Yeah.
Unless it's the same thing of like, why am I reading this? And I've never read this before. Like it's still a thought to them. It's just in a different way. And maybe that shit blows.
It makes my head hurt.
It does.
Yes.
It does.
And then to have it simplified like that, I'm like, it's not that simple. It cannot be that simple. It's they're just left brain. What? No.
It sounds very peaceful to not be able to hear your thoughts. I have to say,
imagine?
They probably can meditate like a boss.
And go to sleep so well.
Oh my gosh.
There's not that little
like, nonstop.
Sometimes with a British accent gotta peep in, and then I'm like, God, I'm fucking weird.
Dude, I know.
Well, one thing I do want to bring up just to kind of like go back to past lives is, a lot of people, there's some stigma around past lives. And I think that it's important to kind of talk about that because there's very few readers, especially, on TikTok. I'm speaking about TikTok. There's very few readers that do past lives on TikTok. And there are other practitioners who would say that it's not grounded or it's not authentic. It's like, the picture has been painted that you're making a story up. Like anybody can make up a story and there's no way to bring evidence through in a past life. And I want to say that is absolutely false. Not true. There should always be evidence when you get a past life. Mm-hmm. And that evidence can be so many different things, but the biggest thing is that there should absolutely be some sort of parallels between the life that you are experiencing now mm-hmm. and the life that you're channeling from a previous mm-hmm. point in time.
Yep.
And there's a lot of information that you can get out of a past life that makes so much sense for maybe parts of our personality or our fear or anxiety that we can't put our finger on, these phobias that we can't put our finger on as to like why we're so petrified of something that we've never even encountered in this current life.
Right.
I mean, there's so much evidence that comes out of a past life. And it's like with any modality, when you go to somebody for a reading, of course, use your discernment, listen to your inner compass, because there's always going to be people out there who are trying to take advantage of other people, but there's no way to police spirituality. It's not necessarily tangible and you just have to use your best judgment. But what I want to say, getting to the point, is that you should absolutely get evidence out of it. So if you can definitely hear the difference between an authentic Akashic Records past life reading versus somebody that's making something up. Yep. They're very, very, very different. And you should absolutely be able to go to Google and verify the information that this person is getting. And it's like with anything, we don't have we don't know everything about history in every country and every city and every, year of all eternity. Like that's impossible to know all of that. So it's just like, you would be amazed at what can come through in a past life reading. They are very, very evidential and valid.
Well, also, I can't tell you how many I've done where the sitter was like, this is not the first time that I've had a past life reading and this life has come, this exact life has come up.
Yep.
Like I had one girl, I think she said she's had multiple other past life readings where the same exact life down to a T has come up. And it's like,
yeah, how do you,
you can't make the shit up. You just can't.
Do you find that the readers that are not authentic are doing more of the guiding and pushing of a narrative? Like, how would you explain what the difference is? Because the one that I had, she led the conversation simply with questions. What
yeah,
does this
so
look
that's a
like?
different technique. So
Okay, gotcha.
that's a technique. So that is a past life regression.
Okay.
We do not regress people. We are not hypnotherapists. Okay.
Right,
So
right.
in a regression, you are the one retrieving the information about yourself. When we do a past life reading, there's no regression taking place. We are accessing that individual's soul record
That
and
makes so much
retrieving
more
a
sense.
past life, and we are saying what we're seeing as
Right.
we go through the life.
Right.
So I highly recommend a past life regression because you are the one experiencing it, and you can't take any, like, that's an amazing experience,
Right?
Because we're all capable of it. And I think the hypnosis portion is served well for somebody like me before I had any sort of psychic or mediumship development and didn't trust myself. So I needed to be to that state of, hypnosis to be able to let go and get the information. That's the benefit of a regression. But a past life reading is just exactly that. We are accessing your records and we are giving to you what we're getting. Does that make
makes
sense?
Much more sense. Yes. Yep. Yeah. I'm glad we went over that because it's a big difference. And I think that's understanding that also will help our listeners to decide what maybe is best for them first. I'm very glad that I did the regression first, because this day I kind of would have been like, okay, but I don't know that I would have absorbed it the same. And that was such a impactful moment that I had when
personal, very personal.
And I've never been hypnotized before. So that was crazy. It and I think even then it kind of opens up this excitement to learn more, and then to know I can keep doing it without the hypnosis part too, because sometimes that's not comfortable for people. The thought of not having control in that way is scary. It really is. There's a lot of trust that has to go into the person you're working with and yourself.
1000%. But yeah, it's just the Akashic Records. I mean, even outside of past lives, like Emily said, there's really nothing you can't get unless you're not ready for it. And they will tell you no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that it's heavily guarded. And you cannot access anybody's record without their permission. I mean, you will not, if you even try and you claim that you're getting anything, you're not getting anything.
No.
You're making it up, because there's no way. And it's such a sacred place. I mean, you can meet the most highest beings imaginable in that space and receive, channeled messages. That's another great use for the Akashic Records, is going in and getting channeled messages for humanity or for something really difficult, like a genocide going on in the world. And you can receive messages from these higher beings. So it's an incredible place. And that's actually what our mentor did for a long time. Like, she would go in multiple times a week for a year, and she would sit in the records, and she would go into trance, and she would channel these messages and record them. And I mean, you can definitely tell that that's not Carrie talking. They're using you as that vessel.
That's so cool.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
And it's very fascinating that you can feel a for sure difference when you're doing it and you shouldn't be there and you're not ready for it, to when you actually are. Because I think in my guided meditation, I was nervous when I was doing it, because I was doing it on my own essentially, and it made a very big difference. And I almost was like, I'm not going to get a lot, and I was almost like shut out. And then when I went and actually, like, before everything started, when we just went to the Akashic Records, it was such a different feeling. And I was like, okay, this is what it should have felt like when I was ready. And I think it's just very calming, and it feels like very, like I felt understood before I even knew why I should feel understood.
And it's funny because I remember, like, before we even started our training in the records, it was way before. We were still, I think, doing psychism, or because it was in May, because we went to an Orioles game. I'll never forget it. And that day I did a meditation, and I was just doing a breathing meditation to like calming music. I wasn't expecting anything. I was just trying to relax, ground. And all of a sudden I'm in the records, and I had never been there. I mean, I have, not in this lifetime, but like it felt familiar, and I just knew it was the records. And I remember that I saw like an actual book in front of me, and it had like all of these symbols like all over the book, and I didn't know what they meant, but I knew that was my book. And it was just all this like random, like almost like hieroglyphic looking stuff. And I went to grab it, and then all of a sudden I was pushed back, and I was in another part of the records, and that book wasn't there anymore, and I was being led down this path to a healing space. And I knew that it was an archangel. I could feel it. I didn't know which archangel, but I knew it was an archangel that was leading me to this healing space. And then he told me to get in the water. And so I got in this water, and it didn't feel like water. Like it looked like water, but it didn't feel like water. It didn't feel wet. I can't explain it. And I sat there for a while, and I just felt like such a purge of energy. And then all of a sudden I'm back in my meditation room, and I talked to Carrie about it, because I'm like, I think I was at the record. She's like, you went to the healing waters, and that is a place that we would frequent during our guided meditations, like through Carrie when we were in development. So, and you know, I wasn't ready to access my soul book. You know, it was like what I needed at that moment was a healing. So I mean, it's just like sometimes you might stumble in there, and just allow yourself to experience it, because if you stumbled there, you're supposed to be there. So just enjoy it and trust yourself, because the information, it's coming to you. You're not retrieving it. It's coming to you.
Yeah, it's like a natural regurgitation. Like it's literally served to you without you having to put that much thought into it, because it's just, this is for you, is how it felt.
I was just gonna say, it's just sad because a lot of people don't feel that past life readings are ethical, and that just, there's so much healing that can come from past lives. So much healing. It goes so far beyond just the life we're living now. It's endless. And we've all been here many, 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 many times.
You were talking about
Oh, I know that there's people that say that past lives are not ethical.
Yes. Do you want to like go into that a little bit? Like maybe why people would say that, and then
I mean, I honestly, like, if I'm being totally honest, I feel like because there's blocks. Because it's like you are putting spirituality and all that, the potential, in a box. Like, I don't know, like, it's just crazy to me, because I think it's really important to be grounded within your spirituality. Like, trust me, like I definitely think that that's crucial, but I also don't discount anything. I don't discount anybody's experiences. I don't discount much of really anything. I don't think you should live in that space. I think that it can get carried away. And I think that, you know, people forget that it's great going to these 5D dimensions and having these crazy experiences in your meditations and stuff, but your purpose is to be a human. That's why you're here. It's why you were incarnated as a human, because your job is to be a human and learn human lessons. But to say that it's not evidential or it's not ethical, I don't think I do understand why. I think that you're putting limits on yourself, even, because there's a lot of mediums that don't believe in past life readings, but that's such a huge part of healing also. You know, like,
so much healing and understanding comes from it, that it's very hard to understand. It's hard to understand where the unethical comes in.
You can do a lot of shadow work in there.
Well, they just really believe that you can't get evidence, and so because you can't get evidence, even though you can and you do, it's not ethical. No evidence of ethics. But I challenge and say there's tons of evidence that comes out from a past life reading that's done correctly.
You can say that about any religion, honestly. You have to put your faith and belief in something, and a lot of it, it's not that it can't be there evidence with it, but a lot of the evidence can be hard to dig up. And it's the effort you put into discovering the evidence, but it doesn't mean that it's not there and it doesn't exist. And I think that's the same thing with questioning other people's religions and experiences. Like, this is an experience you have with your healing journey, and to question it of other people, like, doesn't have to affect you. Like, it's not your place to question someone else's journey.
Exactly.
Period.
Well said.
Perfectly said. Mic drop.
Wish I had my microphone's downstairs at the TV from whenever I watched the Eras movie.
I think the biggest takeaway is I think that, if past life is something that interests you, I highly recommend doing a guided meditation to see what you can access, or having a past life reading done, or even take it the extra mile and have a regression done, because there really is so much that you can gain, so much clarity and understanding that can come out of that. I know all of my experiences with past lives has done nothing but help me along the way, and I'm sure it's the same for each of you.
Yeah.
I think that's the next episode, is what we should talk about as our experiences with the different types. I have the recording from when it was done, and I'll share my parts of it that I think I wasn't prepared for, that really like shocked me and kind of really put that evidence behind it when it was like things clicked and they fell into place, and I felt it in this lifetime's Lauren. I don't even know what I went into it expecting, really. And so I'm really excited to share those things, and I think that'll be a really fun episode for the next episode.
Gosh, that'll be loaded.
That'll be awesome
with information.
And I can't wait to hear your guys' experience in like the next step of doing the readings. Is it next week, Emily? You're gonna start offering your past life readings on TikTok. And I mean, in your graduation, Carrie was going on and on about your connection. So I cannot wait for those. I am so excited to watch you like dive into that. I think you're gonna be incredible.
She is. Thank you.
Yeah, so Emily's gonna do our collective pool.
So I got the pink dolphin. It's a celebration, fun, unbridled joy, open heart. The Amazon river dolphin, also known as the pink dolphin because of its unique pinkish coloring, is an endangered marine mammal that lives in the freshwaters of the Amazon and Orinoco River basins in South America. Deeply revered, it is the subject of many local myths and legends. In one, it's said that if you go swimming alone, the pink dolphins may transport you to the magical underwater city of Encante. To be near dolphins is to experience a whole new level of play and joy. This is a card of welcoming more joy into your life, to opening your heart and mind to new experiences, and prioritizing happiness and fun, to prioritizing play and taking time off from the monotony of our everyday lives, to play like a child without being attached to the outcome. How can you welcome more joy into your life? What can you do just for fun? What do you want to celebrate? This card is a wonderful one to receive and is always an invitation to stop being so serious, to play and have more fun. When we play, we're able to release the pressures and stress that we're carrying and switch off. Often when we do this, the two hemispheres of the brain can make connections and solutions that we previously couldn't see come flowing in. I mean, I take away from that, not putting conditions and limits on spirituality. Have fun with it. Be creative with it.
Think of yourself as a child when you didn't question things. Things were magical and you took it for what it was, and it was exciting and new. And you were just interested instead of questioning everything.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Next week, we will dive into more personal experiences with the Akashic Records, past lives. For now, thanks for joining us. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Team Spirit Podcast. Carrie and Emily both go live on TikTok and can also be found on Instagram. Carrie can be found at Clarity by Cam, C-A-M, and Emily at Enchanted Mystic by M-K. And so Carrie has her enrollment for her classes. She is now mentoring. So the classes are open and it starts in April. And again, Emily next week is going to be, well, when this comes out this week, she'll be doing it. So Emily will be doing past live readings on TikTok. So we'll see you next time.
Yay. Bye. Bye.